What is up, fellows? Thanks for tuning in today and welcome to a new mixing guide. First of all, huge shout out to the band Loneliness in the Crowd, especially to their guitarist who made this tutorial possible. So please, show these guys some support and check them out by following links at the description. There you will also find links to the band Supremacy, where our friend plays guitar as well. By the way, these guys released their new album few months ago and your boy did production work for it, so be sure to check them out too. So just as always, today I'm about to show you how to achieve this kind of tone, so without further ado, sit back, relax and let's fucking do the shit. So just as always, we're gonna start from guitar tracks. Check this shit. This time we working with quadro track, so there is 4 guitars, panned 190% left and right. All of them routed to GTR bus where them shits get some compression and equalization, so let's start from individual channels. Just as always, I use exact same settings for all of them tracks, so there is no need to review them all. First and probably main thing in chain is Revolver 4, gonna use this one for amplification stage. First thing in chain is 808 pedal with no drive and maximum tone to get control on low end part of tone and make it more focused. $6505 amp with these settings. Just as always, I use tweaking option to achieve optimal results by playing with them tubes and other science shits, but this schematic shit is too big to review, so I'll just put this preset at the additional files. You can see that cab section is bypassed and you'll already know what it means. Keyfair impulse loader loaded with custom made HLB impulse. Check this shit. Just as always, you'll find this impulse at the additional files for this guide, so you can get the shit and do some shit using my shit. Right after, I use multi-band exciter and tape mode. What's interesting about it is that we use every band but last one, because I don't want to boost that fizzy presence, so as a result we get more fat and all-round tone. Notice reduced output. I used to do this to avoid of clipping on NLS that we have next in chain. Mic mode with some drive to add some nice ass low-end coloring to guitars. And last thing here is Pro L limiter, which I use to gain RMS of guitars and make total stereo of them more stable. I bet you all recognized processing patch from Metal Mixing Guide number 14, so you'll probably be like, Ivy mate, what the fuck is this shit? You just pull out previous shit and even said exactly same text, you lazy fuck. But don't blame me so quickly, alright? because we're about to go for most interesting part. Additional correction impulse which gonna give our tone total different color. Check this out. Even though there is solid difference in loudness, you can still hear that it becomes more grainy and aggressive. Now bus processing. First of all, sidechain compressor triggered by kick and snare. I also use output gain to drop the volume little bit and have more headroom on the next plugin, which is CLA76. Use this one to smoothen up work of previous compressor and take control on overall dynamics of guitars. So as a result we get level control with smooth pulsation. And now second sidechain compressor. This one is driven by kick drum only and this time with hard knee, so we get short drop in volume while kick drum hits. Let's check it out in context of mix. And final thing in chain, EQ. Here we even out 150 Hz from side of the stereo, reduce two whistly zones on high mids, and finally boost that roasty high end, to make guitars bit more dirty and aggressive. Check this out. After all that shit, this bus goes to master some bus number 1. There is also center reverb to give them shit's tiny bit of space. Speaking of ambience guitar, routing model is pretty much the same as on previous guitars. All reamping stuff is going on this ambience guitar track, which is routed to ambience guitar bus and then goes to master sum bus number 1. So speaking of ambience guitar channel, it based on rhythm guitar reamping patch. So we have same revolver for settings, same HLB cabinet, exciter and NLS. There is no limiter because we don't really need it here. It all will be covered by shit ton of reverbs and post EQ anyways. So fuck that and let's go for bus processing. First thing in chain is CLA 76. I think I simply copied this one from Guitars Bus, but in case of this channel, it helps to save sustain of guitars when they fading out. Bit of post equalization in front of reverbs, just to keep signal cleaner. Check this out. Valhalla shimmer reverb with these settings. H delay in ping pong mode for even more sustain and stereo width. Stereo enhancer to boost side information of the stereo. The thing is that we don't have nothing more but reverb and delays here, so we get more of that shit, but at the same time keep middle of stereo cleaner. Plus this shit now sounds big as fuck, isn't it? Final movement, boost of presence zone to give it bit of that rhythm guitar color and dirtiness. And we also have the send to reverb. This time we're going for live bass, and that's how raw DI signal sounds. Speaking of routing and processing, I used processing model from MMG number 14, so channels and layers is the same thing, but for those of you who don't know what it is, let me show it real quick. This base patch contains 2 layers. Base layer number 1 is some of these 4 channels, so bass drive, bass high gain, bass twang and bass roast are mono FX channels routed to base 1 layer mono bus, which is routed to bass bus. Base layer number 2 is simply copy of guitar patch of Humanity's Last Breath guitars from my previous guides. This one is routed to bass bus as well. So how this shit works, you ask me? Pretty simple. Just as always, I turn off output of this bass source channel, which is container of DI audio of bass, and then applied sense to them bass FX. You can see it right here. The thing is that in case of live bass we need to go in details and be sure that every single channel sounds clean enough, or have enough of low end. It's all depends of DI bass that you got, that's why send to each channel has its own amount. Let me show how they sounds. And now I'm going to do a quick run on them settings. Just keep in mind that all revolver presets and impulses will be included in the additional files pack. So now it all goes to bass bus, where I did pretty extreme timbre correction and applied bit of sidechain compression to put it deeper in mix. First thing in chain is a taupe ozone 5 EQ with matching option. Got to say that in there was shit ton of bus processing in preparation project, so I decided to simplify it all by matching source sound to the end results. If you look at this curve, you can see them timbre changes that I did. After this one we have simple EQ with dropped low end and boosted output, just to make it less muddy and bit brighter. And finally, sidechain compressor triggered by kick drum. Already told you about this one. At the end of the day, this bus is routed to master someone bus, and we have sent to reverb to add tiny bit of space to the shit. So we finally get to drums. For this tutorial I decided to take a chance and demonstrate my last drum tone in action. I bet most of you all already saw that long ass guide where I explained routing models, reviewed processing and all that stuff, so I'm not gonna spend your time by saying same shit again. Most of the shit stays exactly the same as it was, so I'm not gonna go for samplers, routing settings and comments on most parts of the kit. Keep your eyes on color marks of the channels. Purple color means that processing model stays exactly the same. Green color means that channel belongs to source template, but has been changed one way or another. And orange color is for channels and buses which are completely new. So let me do a quick run of them settings of untouched channels first, just in case if you don't want to spend your time to watch my last drum tone tutorial. Now let's go for template changes. Bob snare trigger. First two plugins, which are EQ and gate, is exactly the same thing. What I added here is limiter to get control on that spiky attack. If you look closely, you'll notice that there is about 9 decibels of gain reduction, which could make dramatic difference if hit master limiter or compressor and create pumping holes in the mix. So we deal with it and mix becomes more linear and stable in case of dynamics. Next thing, EQ, boosted lows to make it more fat and full, dropped boxy mid-range and high cut filter to get rid of that click on highs so snare sits deeper in mix. SSD kick trigger. First 4 plugins belongs to original template. Let me show it to you really quick. What I added here is this EQ. As you can see, we deal mostly with clicky high-end content and rainy low-end zone. Overheads. In case of this one, I only deleted 2 SSL compressors and Pro C and sidechain mod, so EQ and NLS has source settings. We'll go for drum bus bit later. Let's deal with them new orange channels and buses first, starting from kick post bus. I added this one because I wanted to have some post EQ on kick, but there was no free slots, which is important part of my whole overproduction shit. Y'all know how we go though. So here I have this timber shape to deal with outstanding lows, mids and clicky highs. both Tom's channels now routed to Tom's bus. Main reason of it is this fucking bleed from cymbals. Check this out. So you can see that I cutted that whistles here and also removed tiny bit of outstanding lows. Got to say that I tried to put gate on the shit to avoid of this problem, but there is two reasons why it was a fucked up idea. First of all, I don't want to lose sustain of them toms, and second of all, even if I decide to go for short ass sustain, gate still will be triggered by snare bleed. As a result we could get loss of tom's sustain, strange ass bleed from snare, and at the same time it would be dirty as fuck. So I decided to clean it up, and now we have full toms, and bleed from drum kit which doesn't fuck it all up. In the first slot we have clipper, just to give some of that saturation to toms. Check this shit. Another thing that I added is this AMB overheads bus, which is the keeper of cymbals and ambience stuff, so overheads, rides and ambience channels routed to this one. First thing in chain is pair of CLA 76 compressors. Use them shits to bring up sustain of cymbals. You can hear it pretty clear in this beatdown part at the end of the song. Next thing is a taupe ozone equalizer with matching option, which is container of different EQ moves that I had in preparation projects. Pretty much the same thing that I did with bass bus. Just as always, you'll find this and other matching sessions in the additional files pack for this guide. And another EQ which I added to fatten the shit up with boost on mids and also cleaned up them high-end whistles. And speaking of added channels, here's the first one, SSD Kick Trigger 2. This one is mostly for smooth and fat mid-range supportion of other kicks. Here's the name of use sample. The one from SSD4 Deluxe Library. And here is settings of internal mixer. First thing in chain is EQ, where we get rid of all unwanted boomy and outstanding low-end content. Limiter, same thing as with Bob's snare channel, cutting them pigs to keep our mix more transparent. And right after I return some of them lows. SSD snare trigger 2. This one is fat, ringy and roomy, part of our total snare tone. Check this shit. First thing in chain is CLA 76 in all mode to get some of that overdriven coloring. EQ to get rid of ringy frequencies on mids. Copy of first CLA to make it even more crushed. Exactly what I wanted from this channel. And finally last EQ to get control on them mid-range rings one more time. Almost forgot about sampler settings. Snare Black Beauty 6.5 inside of the shit, SSD 4 Deluxe library. SSD Snare Trigger 3. Basically, this channel is copy of previous one, so settings of sampler are exactly the same. Speaking of processing, this time we have few changes. First of all, EQ after first CLA 76 have different settings. This time I boosted random rainy frequency on mid-range to give specific coloring to reverb. VALHALLAROOM. Basically this is the only thing that makes a difference between this and previous channel. You can see that it works only for outro beatdown part, and I wanted it to be like, you know, deep and shit. Next thing, same copy of first CLA 76, but this time it will also compress and drive signal from reverb, which is awesome. And next two EQs to deal with them rings. Last thing here is this drums bus, which is X-Master bus from drums tutorial. Not sure if I changed anything here, so here is the settings. Keep in mind that incoming sensitivity has been dropped 10 decibels down to have some headroom on NLS. Speaking of routing, you can see it right here. Speaking of sends, we have sidechain sends from Bob snare channel and same stuff from kick channel. Also sends to reverb bus. Y'all know how we go for the space. All of them sends goes to this reverb bus. That's how it sounds soloed. Here's them settings of reverb. And bit of post EQ to keep it cleaner and mix. And before we'll finally go for them mastering shits, take a look at them levels and panning settings of mix one more time. So let me explain this shit with two master buses really quick. What we have here is some kind of mix layering, which means that most of the elements of mix goes to master some one bus where them shits get solid dose of compression. Then signal from this bus goes to master some two bus, where this compressed signal summing up with them triggers, and at the end it all face final pieces of processing. So to sum it all up, we have heavy compression of guitars, bass and pretty much other elements of the mix, while drum triggers added on master some two still cuts through and not overload compressor from the first one. So here is first plugin on first bus. Multibin compressor. Stereo enhancer to widen up stereo image on mids. EQ to get rid of outstanding frequency around 2 kHz and smoothen up that presence just a bit. Master some bass too. Second imager, which I used on latest stages of mixing, just to fix stereo image a bit, mostly for highs. Equalizer to get rid of unwanted low end side of the stereo and deal with noisy high end. Clipper helps to glue them triggers with main part of mix. EQ to soften up presence boosted by Clipper and also deal with couple of noises. And finally limiter to boost overall RMS of the mix and get control on them peaks. So that's pretty much it. For those of you who want to get additional files pack, which includes Cubase template, full pack of impulses used in this guide, pack of matching sessions for Isotope Ozone 5 EQ, pack of Pro Q presets, pack of presets for Revolver 4, and yeah, by the way, I wrote README files, so be sure to read it as well. This pack also includes Superior Drummer presets and custom drum map. You will find all of them shits in my private post on Patreon, which will be available after pledging $1. By doing this you will also get access for rest of my private content and help me keep doing what I do. Link is in the description. So hope you learned thing or two from this guide. See you next time.